Is Mohib, and first I'd like to say your work has influenced culture in ways no one else can say they have. The world would not be the way it is today, and I thank you for that.
The world isn't that great today. Read the papers. Now you're blaming that on me?
It would be worse off without you.
Okay, thank you.
My question is, and I might get condemned for this one, who is your favorite DC character if you had to choose? And what Marvel superhero could take him down?
You know, who is my favorite DC character, you said?
Yes.
And what Marvel? Yeah, okay. Boy, my hearing is getting better. I think Phoenix here agrees with me. God bless Phoenix. Let me think about that for a second. First of all, I have to confess something to you. I am asked so often, and I had been even more when I was doing the comics, hey Stan, if Thor and the Hulk had a fight, who'd win? You know, if the Thing had a fight, so-and-so, who'd win? And I always give them the same answer. It depends on who's writing the story. It depends on who the writer wants to win, that's all. As far as my favorite Marvel, DC, you know who my favorite DC character was? And I can't even remember his name. He was a character, a few years ago, they were making a number of books of him. I don't know if they're still, he was like an alien who was very tough, and he was more of a villain than a hero. And the artwork was beautiful, and he was a mangy, rotten, very powerful guy. What was it? Lobo. Yeah. Something Lobo, something like that. You know what I mean? Well, I thought he was one of the most original characters that DC had. I loved him when I was looking at him. So, I know you didn't expect that. You thought I'd say Superman or Batman or the Green Lantern. I did write a series of books for DC some years ago about how I would have created those characters if I had done them. So I did my version. I never thought DC would ask me to do that, but they did. So I did my version of Superman and Batman, blah, blah, blah. And I think a lot of those would make great movies, but DC can't make movies of them because it would confuse the audience because they're different than the DC characters now. So I outsmarted myself. And again, I forgot the question. Can I answer it?
The other half was, what Marvel character could take him down?
Oh, hell, any Marvel character. Let me be honest, and you know I am the soul of integrity and honesty. If a Marvel writer writes the story, any one of our characters could take them down. If a DC writer writes the story, any one of their characters. It depends on who's writing the story, that's all.
Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Rebecca, and I was just wondering, you know, you're like a phenomena. Like, you're one of those people that will be remembered forever, and you've done so much for the comic community, and I was just wondering, out of the millions of things that you've created in all of your life, what was your favorite? Like, what was your most memorable comic that you created?
You know, people ask me that, and I try to answer it. And sometimes I'll say, you're asking my most favorite comic book?
Yeah, like your most memorable one.
Memorable? I'll sometimes say The Silver Surfer. And then I think, gee, there was a story I wrote for Daredevil where he protects a blind cop. I really love that story. And then I'll think, I love the introduction of Galactus in this Fantastic Four with the Silver Surfer. And then I'll think, but boy, that first Spider-Man strip. And I can't answer it because I've come to a terrible conclusion. I am my biggest fan. And I love everything I've got to tell you, People used to ask me how I could write so many stories so quickly. And it was simple. It's because I was also the editor. And because I'm a big fan of mine, whatever I wrote, I liked. So I didn't have to rewrite it. I didn't have to make any changes. And that's the way I am. I mean, I have to admit it. I really love the stuff I do.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Christina, and I just wanted to tell you that I really like all of the characters that you created for Marvel, and I just wanted to know, why did you even, when did you realize that you wanted to work for the comic book company and business?
When did I realize I wanted to work for the comic book companies?
Yeah.
Well, I got this job when I was about 17 in the comic book company. I was an assistant to Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, who were the fellows doing Captain America at the time. And I didn't think I wanted to stay in comics. That's why I changed my name. Everybody hated comics. People had no respect for comic books at all. People thought they're read by very young children or illiterate adults. And I was embarrassed to be doing comics, so I changed my name from Stanley Martin Lieber, which was a nice, normal name. I cut it into Stan Lee, and I figured nobody will know I'm doing this. But after a while, I began to realize that it really takes a bit of talent to do a comic, to do a good comic. And there's nothing to be ashamed of, because people love to read them, and it's a good way to tell a story. So I think in 1961 or so, I was about to leave the field because I was going to quit. Because I'd been doing it for about 20 years, and I felt I was getting nowhere. I loved comics by that time, but I wasn't getting anywhere. And that's when my wife told me, why don't you do one book the way you'd like to do it instead of the way your publisher tells you to? Get it out of your system, and the worst that'll happen, he'll fire you and you want to quit anyway. So that's when I did the Fantastic Four, and it violated a lot of the things that Martin Goodman wanted me to do. He wanted the heroes to have costumes, and they didn't have costumes. He never wanted too much dialogue. He said, people don't want to read dialogue, they want to see action. Just put a lot of fight scenes. But I gave the Fantastic Four a lot of dialogue. And he said, don't bother worrying about characterization, just give them action. But I tried to make real characters. And the book sold, and then as I mentioned, we went on to the X-Men and other books. And that was when I decided I really love comics and I'm going to stay in the field, because now they started getting respect. What happened was, with the first Fantastic Four, we started getting fan mail, but most of it was written in crayon. A little bit later, the fan mail was written in pencil. Then later it was typed. Then after a while, the return addresses were from schools, and then later from colleges. Oh man, it was a great feeling, because we had never gotten fan mail before then. Sometimes I'd get a letter and it would say, I want my dime back. A staple came out of the book. I'd hang it on the wall. I'd say, look, a reader wrote to us. So that's about it. If I answered your question, that was it.
We are going to have to stop there because we are going to be whisking Stanley away for now, but you know...
I'm just getting started.
I know, but we're going to see him again. So please, help me thank Stanley.